Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it seems that Tesla is facing some more downward pressure today. I've been warning you guys about this stuff and I'm telling you, it's real. But believe me, I really understand. If you want a successful YouTube channel, you gotta be a cheerleader. You tell people that Bitcoin's gonna go to the moon, Tesla's gonna go to the moon, and then Elon Musk and Kathy Wood are both geniuses and everyone's gonna be rich. If you do that, make people feel good, you'll have a successful YouTube channel. But it doesn't necessarily make it true, unfortunately. And I get it's upsetting to watch these things go down, but I'm just telling you the truth to keep it real. Also, too, if you're new here, my name is Chris, a professor for about 10 years, and this is all to help you navigate and grow. So here's the main thing, I was thinking about this as sort of like why people fail in the market often. And essentially what it is you're ignoring these numbers here, which is your PE ratio. You talk about price, you talk about how great the company is and things like that, but you can't ignore this kind of stuff. For people who ignore this, you're just going to do poorly in the market. And I don't want to be mean, I'm just saying you got to pay attention to this stuff. This would suggest that Tesla's overvalued. This is your PE ratio. That's what is the price of the stock compared to how much a company earns, right? You got to pay attention to that stuff. And, the basic gist is that BYD, which is the Warren back Chinese car company, they're making a bunch of cars and they're selling a bunch of cars. And it turns out today we found out that they just passed Tesla as being like the largest, it's how the way they term it, electric vehicle maker. So there's a little bit of caveat with this, right? I'm keeping it real because I can read. So this isn't necessarily tell the full story, but I want you to understand that there's a couple different ways you can read these numbers. And the bulls will say one thing, the bears will say the other. I just want you to know the truth. I don't think there's any, I don't have any reason to just make random stuff up. But it is true that BYD does sell more cars than Tesla, completely true. And you can see here, it overtakes Tesla in global electric vehicle sales. So they're just selling more cars than Tesla. And then also too, the BYD company, they're growing like nuts. So they tripled in the past June. So don't ever count out Warren Buffett. And it's funny, throughout the pandemic and stuff like that, people say, oh, Warren Buffett's old. He's so stupid. He doesn't know anything. My Bitcoin's going to go to the moon and that kind of stuff, and my Tesla's awesome. And if you want to make fun of Warren Buffett, that's your prerogative. But I just think it sounds dumb myself to make fun of Warren Buffett. It is what it is. And you guys can make your determination on that. And also too, both Warren Buffett and Elon Musk both went to Penn, which is my school. So smart people go to these places. One of the things is what I want to dig with the numbers with you guys is when they're talking about BYD though, it looks like they're counting both hybrids and battery vehicles, and essentially calling them new energy vehicles. I think that's the phraseology. So in essence, if you only want to, and this is where the bulls will talk about, if you only want to say BYD battery only vehicles compared to Tesla battery only vehicles, Tesla outsells BYD. However, it's not really a good comparison. In my opinion, it's just like, how many cars do you sell? And I think the reason why I mention it is that you have to think in terms of the consumer. When the consumer goes to the store, they're not thinking, okay, I'm going to buy 2 cars, one battery electric, one hybrid. I'm going to buy a car. And they and I don't know. I'm just saying, and consumers are just going to buy a car, and regardless of if it's battery or hybrid, this, by buying the BYD, you're not buying the Tesla. So I do understand both arguments of whether or not they're a leading Tesla, but they're selling more cars than Tesla, and they are hybrid and battery combined. Tesla only sells the battery one. So I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts on this, but this is the numbers that people are going to talk about and say, oh, no, you're adding up 2 numbers. But irregardless, BYD sells more cars than Tesla, and they're taking their market share because someone's not going to buy both. As a result, you're getting downward pressure on Tesla stock. JP Morgan issued a downgrade. They've already been kind of bearish on Tesla, and they're saying it could even go 40% more down from here. And a lot of this has to do with valuation. So Tesla is a good company. They're a great company. They have good technology. They make good cars. But you can pay too much for a stock. And this is why I said, a lot of people do poorly in the market, because if you listen to some of the cheerleaders on Tesla, they'll just tell you like all these great numbers of how great it's growing and how smart Elon is, but they never really address the fundamental question is that Tesla is overvalued, right? And how do you value a stock? You base it on how much a company earns, right? And it's up to you guys if you feel like that you can not overpay for a stock. It's up to you, but I think you can overpay for things. It doesn't mean they're bad, but you can overpay. The basic gist of it is, though, the earnings are cut. So before, he was thinking that, and this is Ryan Brinken over at JP Morgan, was thinking that the earnings were going to be 1150 for the year. He's cutting it down to 1080, and this is per share. We'll look at the actual numbers to get a sense of that, what that means. And then also too, Bernstein made a downgrade as well. They downgraded it to 450. So today and tomorrow and this week will be tough for Tesla, because given the news that BYD's passed them, and then also to closing down the factories, you may get changes in Wall Street price targets. You never know. You never know what Wall Street's going to do. You just don't. Some people like Dan Ives, he's over at Wedbush. He's just going to tell you Tesla's going to go to $1 million and stuff. He's always very, very bullish on tech. So everyone can have a different opinion. And at the end of the day, it depends how many cars a company sells and how much money they make. Now, regards to like your earnings and like the downgrades and what kind of things can you expect? So this has been like this the case for a while. If you take a look at the grades at Tesla, you're looking at valuation grade of F, and it's been like that for a while, right? So they're definitely growing, they're definitely profitable. People like the company. I mean, momentum is like people are buying it, but it's just heavily overvalued. It's been like that for a while, and in a bubble market with stimulus check money and cheap money, it seems like great. But we're going into recession where car sales may lag a bit because it's a recession, and also too there's a real possibility that oil prices could come down. That might be, due to recession, lack of demand. Due to, that, with oil prices coming down, maybe electric vehicles won't be so hot anymore. Who knows? I'm just saying that is a possibility that oil prices are not so high going forward. The other issue as well, if you take a look at this, so this is the earnings here, and I'm just looking at numbers, and I want you guys to get good at this stuff so you can understand sort of like, what's happening, that it's not random. Okay. So Tesla's earnings have been pretty good, right? So they've been growing the last few years, and we had a dip here in Q2 in terms of the estimate. Tesla tends to beat estimates, so there is a possibility that there is a world where people get really, really bearish, and Elon comes out and says, "Hey, everyone, we're making tons of cash, and everything's great." There's a possibility, but I personally don't think that's going to happen. But I don't have inside information to verify that. So basically, what we're looking at here. This is for the quarter, earnings of $1.90. And if you kind of add all these together, actually, you can just show right here, it's easier. The original estimate among 35 analysts was that maybe Tesla is going to be like making $11.92 with a forward P of, say, 57. You can see the numbers right here. According to the JP Morgan one, they're saying more like 1080. So that's a bit on the lower end. However, don't sleep on this forward P of 57. That is a bit high. When you think about PEs, remember this is the price of the stock in relationship to how much a company earns. You want your PE to be relative to the growth of your company, right? So at a forward P of 57, then for this to be, a decent buy, I would want my company's earnings to be growing, say, 65, 70%, something of that nature. If I'm buying a P of 57. So, depending on what you think Tesla's going to grow, my opinion, and actually I can just show you guys as well where I get these numbers, not just random stuff. I would say year-over-year growth. Like these are just kind of projections. Like you could say this would be in the 30s. This would be a higher one for Q3, 67, right? But this is year-over-year. But you want to take all into consideration. I would say if Tesla could grow 30% a year, that would be fantastic, right? 50% I think is a bit tough because this is very real. Competition is very real. Also, too, you face headwinds of production, right? Material costs are going up, people costs, labor costs are going up, et cetera. And so this idea that I can grow 50%, 100% a year is it's pretty tough. Also, too, if you buy a stock at those prices, like if you buy a stock and it's priced to expect, 50% growth a year, and you're buying at those prices, right, where everyone's expecting that, if there's any sort of deviation from the plan, your stock's going to go down, right? Because the question you have to ask yourself, if I'm buying a stock that's valued at, say, 57 PE, meaning that I'm predicting 57% growth, and if that doesn't happen, the stock's going to go down. And if it exceeds that, what are the odds it's going to exceed that? So this is how you do well in the market, is you want to sort of, hedge your bets. You want to buy stocks that are undervalued. You want to buy stocks that have a chance to outperform, not buy stocks that necessarily like you're buying at the peak of the best, rosiest projections possible. Now, certainly, Tesla today is not at the top. That's the good news, right? If you were buying it now, it's not at the top. But you're still buying it at high valuations with forward Ps in the 50s. So it's still high. but it's getting more reasonable. You can see here though that depending on who you ask and sort of how many analysts are looking at this thing, maybe you're looking at growth from a 20, 30, 40%. That's certainly very good. But it's going to be tough. You got a lot of competition coming up, You also have their investment in Bitcoin. It may end up losing them a bunch of money. They're already down 440 million, but for Elon to drop in the bucket, Bitcoin. The other issue as well is just think about the market as a whole. I understand that, and this is also very real, and do keep this stuff in mind. So Tesla cheerleaders on YouTube, their goal is just to make you feel good, so you watch their videos and you feel happy, right? Not necessarily their goal is not necessarily help you to make money. It's most people are just cheerleaders to get you to watch. One of the things that I do, and I don't necessarily make you feel good, I want you to make you feel smart, is look at the marketplace. So, for me personally, the Model 3, I think they got probably the best tech on the market, most likely. But I don't think it's a particularly attractive car. That's just my opinion. But I do think they have the best tech, but I don't think it's a particularly attractive car. And I'm always asking, like, okay, so what are consumers interested in? Are they more interested in tech, or do they care about the way the car looks, or do they care about how it handles, et cetera? Like the BMW, that's part of your competition. They're very real, right? It's BMW. Hyundai, you could argue that it's not part of your competition. But I wanted to point this out because if we go in an environment with a recession where people are worried about the future, are they going to want to dish out money for a Tesla when they can just pick up like a hybrid Elantra? I'm just giving for example, or go with just a traditional car like a Sonata. And in my opinion, like these Elantra Sonatas look nicer. I think the BMWs look nicer as well than the Tesla. And I was looking at this new BYD. I think this looks nicer than Tesla as well. And like I said, I'd love to hear your guys' opinion if you think the Model 3 looks better than these other vehicles. I just personally think this BYD is a nice looking car. Now, whether or not it drives well, whether or not the tech is better, I don't know. I've never driven a BYD, so I can't tell you. I can tell you the Tesla cars are nice cars. They are, good tech and stuff, but whether or not they look better, that's in the eye of the beholder. I personally think the BYD does look better though. And I do think the BMW looks better. I think Volkswagen is going to be a real competition for Tesla going forward as well. This is very real. Volkswagen, BYD, so Volkswagen out of Germany, BYD out of China. It's going to be a tough landscape. Doesn't mean that Tesla can't do well, but just take these things as real, right? Fisker, I think, is going to fail. I actually like the way these look as well. I would totally buy one of these, but in terms of like a good buy, if the company's going to fail and you buy a car and you can't get parts, maybe not so great. Lucid, I've never liked Lucid, to be honest. I think they're ugly, but everyone's gonna have a different opinion on that one. And I think they're overpriced. I think they're ugly and overpriced. That's just my opinion. That's it. So, I hope you guys do well in the market. Let's see what Tesla's down. Tesla's down 4.5% today. It's gonna have a tough day today. Probably a tough week. It's just a tough market out there. I feel sorry for people who essentially follow the cheerleaders and just buy stocks at any price because the promise is, hey, you're going to be rich. And kind of the issue is, and I believe I get it. I'm not stupid. I can read numbers, and you guys can read them too. If you look at the stock and you say, okay, last 5 years is up 900%, that's fabulous, right? But the idea, though, and I want you to understand, this is a very simple concept. If you bought the stock in 2018, okay, it's kind of like buying a lottery ticket in 2018. And people say, I bought this lottery ticket in 2018, and I picked the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you buy this lottery ticket today, and pick the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, you will also be a winner. And that's the best way to think about it is like, just because someone bought something, a lottery ticket 5 years ago, is it the same ticket today? Can you use the same numbers that you can today? My opinion on lottery tickets is no. A lottery ticket from 5 years ago is not this. You can't pick the same numbers today and expect to win. I think it'll be tough for Tesla to have 900% growth in the next 5 years, right? You just don't expect past performance to be equal to future performance. That doesn't work that way. The environment has changed. We're going into recession. Also, too, you have to think about, when because people say, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. What about Apple and Amazon, et cetera? You have to think about what kind of markets you're in. I lived through the dot-com bubble. I lived through the 2009 crash. Stocks perform differently depending on what the economic environment is, right? And if we're going into recession, or we're in a recession, I'd just say we're in a recession, and it lasts for, say, a couple of years, that's going to certainly put a weight in all stocks, and then there's going to be more competition coming up, and it's a tough market. So I think Tesla's a great company, but I want to keep things realistic for you guys, and so that you're not overpaying for stocks. Because for people who only watch cheerleaders and you're buying this thing at 1,200, you know, you're obviously down, because there was never any discussion of what is the stock worth? Like, what's it worth? And that's why I want you to pay attention to these PE ratios. Don't overpay for things. In this market, you can get killed if you're overpaying for stocks. So I wish you guys luck out there, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this thing. Do you think BYD is just going to fade? Is Warren Buffett wrong? And is Elon Musk a genius? And you should just ignore Chris Norland. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.